The MLS salary list has just been dropped by the MLS Players Association. And I guess I want to know what jumps out at you, Big Tones. We got Lionel Messi leading the way with $20 million. He makes $20 million. I think that's more than 10 teams, 12 teams, and MLS is all salary combined. It's pretty crazy. You got son Heung-Min second with $11.2 million. Busquets and Jordi Alba both retiring. That's going to open up some room to spend for Inter Miami, even though Rodrigo De Paul is going to take one of the DP spots. So they'll have one more open next year. Obviously, still waiting to hear what Luis Suarez is going to do, the 38-year-old. Almiron makes a holy crap ton of money. Hirving Lozano, $7.6 million. Emil Forsberg, $6 million. Jordi Alba, $6 million. Ricky Puig, I actually think he's a good buy. Just been hurt this season, 5.8. Jonathan Bamba, 5.6 from Chicago Fire. And Hani Mukhtar, 5.3 are the top 10 highest guaranteed compensation in 2025. Tones, and then obviously you want to hear from you too, Chuck. Anything jump out at you with that list in particular?
The Busquets, what was he? 8.8. That's a lot, man. That's a lot of money. Good for him and good for his agent. That's a lot of money there. I'm just pulling it up again. Almiron, look, you knew they had to bring him back. Hirving Lozano, first signing. Forsberg at $6 million. That's a ton of money. The rest of them, actually, Jonathan Bamba at what was that? A little over $5 million. Yeah, good player. But this is where the league is going. Like we're going to continue to see this, and it's great for the league. But yeah, as far as no surprise, right? Messi is $1 gazillion a year. Son, he's gonna. I think he made that up in jersey sales like the first week. That he was here. And so really not massive surprises here.
And Chuck, I don't know if you want to get into this or maybe just the teams, because Philadelphia Union had the third lowest wage bill of all the 30 teams, and they won the Supporters Shield.
Yeah, that's very impressive. Super impressive. Because it just goes to show that you don't need to spend to win, right? You need to spend the right way, which will guarantee you, I think, to be in the conversation at all times. But we see Atlanta United. What a train wreck. and
they're the third highest spend of all 30 teams and only won 5 games all season.
Terrible. But I will say I want to also talk about Garth Lagerwey and send my thoughts and prayers out to him as he's battling cancer. But man, Atlanta United, they were terrible in all aspects, from selection, these contracts. Just think about how they came into the league with the marketing, with Tata Martino, with exceptional buys in Almiron the first time, and Joseph Martinez, to where they are now. Just dreadful.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think Columbus Crew would be the most recent champion of MLS that maybe didn't have one of the biggest budgets. And where I think Philadelphia invests most of their money is in their youth academy. And then they play those players.
They have Bethlehem and Steel, right? So they train with the first team, which is an incredible training facility. It only gets better. But they train with the first team, the top players. Then they play their games with the second team, the Bethlehem Steel. And that's where, when you're looking at some of the young guys like Brandon Aronson, cut his teeth there, Mark McKenzie. It's such a great, I think when you're looking at trajectory of players and a pathway, the Philadelphia Union are always in the conversation because they spend so much money on recruiting, player recruitment. They have an incredible situation with their players in the facilities at YSC, and then they're able to kind of shoot them through the process with the Union into the second team and then the first team training opportunities. They also are constantly given feedback, constantly. Health and the diet, on how to become a professional. They give them all that information, the access, the exposure. So shout out to the Union and on doing an incredible job with their youth development.
Okay, so what's interesting about the Union, and I want to pivot this way a little bit, Big Tones. When I look at the bottom, let's say 7 spenders in MLS, Montreal's on the bottom.
Terrible.
12, right? FC Dallas, second. Also not great. Philadelphia Union are third bottom. Toronto FC, Minnesota United is 5th, Colorado Rapids 6th, DC United 7th, Real Salt Lake 8th. So those are the bottom 8.
I would have thought DC United would have been rock bottom with Montreal because, again, the decision making at DC United has been lacking, to use a positive word.
Imagine a lot of that is Benteke, right? I don't know what's been. I'm going to find Benteke's salary here. What was it, 14 something for?
Yeah,
DC
United is at 14.9 million.
I'm going to guess
everybody
at least 4 million is Benteke, right? I don't.
Right, so 10 is on the rest of the team. Montreal's at 12.9. They're the lowest of the low, and just so everybody has a frame of reference, Inter Miami 48.9. They're the highest. LAFC is second with 30. So just to give everybody, and Montreal's at 12. And everybody else in the bottom 8 is in between. Well, Montreal's at almost 13. So let's just say 13, and Real Salt Lake's at almost 15.7 when they're tied with Austin FC. So you have like the bottom 9 going from like 13 to 16 million.
This is a great question, by the way, Spider Slatan. FC Dallas. Dallas in general was always thought to be a hotbed. I always looked at, okay, Jersey, Eastern Pennsylvania, in a little bit of Virginia, but in Region 1, that was always kind of the hotbed. Then you'd come down to Region 3, and it was always Texas, Dallas in particular. You have the Dallas Cup. You have these big clubs. They're always producing top talent. But you look at FC Dallas now, and you over the years, what happened? I'm so confused.
The talent's still there. The talent in that area of the country is insane. I feel like the same with DC. I feel like there's a ton of kids that can just rip in that area, you know, and I feel like they should be producing more. And I don't know what's happening, obviously.
So what's they're both Philly and FC Dallas looks like they're both at the same salary, a little over 13 million a year. Why is what Philly is doing in their academy translating more to Philly than what FC Dallas? Is it because FC Dallas is just selling their players off to European clubs? You know what I mean? Like, and they've been the two most successful, right? FC Dallas and Philly have been the two most successful in selling youth players or young players out of their system. Why is one translating to being at the top of the table for a long time? Okay, Philly didn't make the playoffs last year, but under Jim Curtin, they were a team you had to compete with all the time. Oh, U.S. Open Cup finals, all of that stuff. I just wonder what the difference is, right?
Yeah, how much time do we have, Tones? I feel like that.
I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. I'm just asking the question. I have no idea.
I think we have to have a whole pod on youth development within the MLS Academy.
Well, that's a different pod,
right? Because LA is another one. You have Galaxy, you have LAFC. You know, what does that youth development look like in those two systems in particular? How are they different outside of location within LA? But I mean, I love to get into the weeds, but we would need a whole podcast to get into the weeds into that.
Well, I'm just talking these two particular teams because they're so even. Well, they're exactly the same in what they spend, and they're second and third from the bottom. But Philly's had a lot of success for a long period of time, right? Last year, notwithstanding, right? They didn't make the playoffs, but now they win a Supporter Shield the following year, so you can look at last year as like a blip on the radar, right? Because one year they didn't make the playoffs. They're in a finals in, 22 in LA, right? And in that epic game. But a lot of youth players coming through. How come Dallas is not able to? They're spending the same money on the first team. I think there's like a deeper question. Just those two teams together.
Well, I think that in that case, it's sporting director, head coach. Are they aligned? Is the sporting director recruiting the right players? Is the head coach coaching the team the right way? How is the culture in the locker room? Are they filling the 3 DP spots that you have? You can't miss. You got 3 players that you can pay whatever money you want. You can't miss with them.
Well, how many
times have we seen clubs, and this is what drives me wild in MLS? How often have we seen clubs fail with 3 DPs, let alone 1 or 2 DPs? You can't get these guys wrong.
Yeah. Well, that goes back to what Brendan Burke said at the beginning of the show when he only had 12 or 13 pro players at the beginning of the year. You just have to be a magician to make that work. So to your point, Chuck, when you make these signings, or if you're working and have an idea, you have to be perfect. You can't miss, right? You have to be a magician, is what Berkey said. So